Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Christy Wilbert, your Senior Vice President at URL Insurance Group. And today we are going to go over some hot items that everybody's been talking about. It's this upcoming AEP. How are we going to retain clients? How are we going to handle prescription drug plans? This is going to be a transformational AEP. A lot of people like to use the word disruptive for the annual enrollment period. I feel like we've been using that year over year because something's been happening every year to cause disruption. This is going to be way more than that. Disruptive just isn't the right word. So I'm sticking with transformational. You are going to be busy. As our agent partners, my heart goes out to you. Preparation is key. Remember that we are here to support you. I've never seen anything like this in my almost 11 years now with URL. I'm sure agents that have been in the business for a really long time, you've seen something like this before. Try to think back to 2013 with plan benefits and design. Now we're still going to have some, $0 PPOs in there, but they're really trying to correct some damage that we have done to ourselves with these, over enrollment into a single plan, the rising costs in the benefit rich plans that have been designed. We say they've been giving away the farm. All that is going to be rolled back. So it's really causing the major insurance carriers to recalibrate this year. And we just want you to know that we're here for you. You're a valued agent partner, and be prepared to seize the moment. We're going to see some widespread plan terminations across the industry. So clients are going to be seeking new Medicare Advantage plans. Does that mean that you're going to be busy retaining your clients? Absolutely. Does that also mean that you're going to have opportunity to grow new clients because, maybe their agent retired or they're not being responsive? Absolutely. So a lot can happen to your book of business this year, and it's really up to you on how eager you want to be with this AEP. I know it's a crazy couple of weeks. It goes by in the flash of an eye. Everybody's working long, hard hours. So make sure you're taking care of your mental health. Make sure you have something planned to relax after the AEP is over and give yourself something to look forward to. And again, we're here for you if you need anything. Just a few housekeeping items, which I don't even have open here. Make sure that you click your chat box in the blue right-hand corner so that you can ask questions and chat with the group as we're together today. I want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered, and feel free to call me later today. We can have a one-on-one conversation. I am going to be here till we close at 1 o'clock. We have great handouts there that I'll go over with you later. Good morning, Cassie. Thanks for joining. But let's get right into it. We're going to go over retention first. These things should not be new to you. You should be doing them all the time. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on them. But for our new agents out there, I want to be able to teach them what's super important and clients hold value. So these are the 5 retention strategies that we're going to be going over today. Exceptional customer service and personal touch, simplify annual reviews, proactive communication and education, additional lines of business, honesty, integrity, and loyalty. I think it's very important to remember that retaining a customer is 5 to 7 times less expensive than acquiring a new one. So everybody talks about, return on investment, and you're going to spend a lot of money to get one client where it costs you just your time to retain one. So I think that's super valuable. Okay, so let's start with exceptional customer service and personal touch. This is reliability and follow through, right? If you say something, you do it. Believe it or not, we hear all the time in this industry, whether it's somebody on the FMO level making promises or a lead vendor making promises, Don't be one of those other people that make promises to your client or say that you're going to do something and you don't do it. Taking action is so important. Think about that in your everyday. You love to work with somebody who is an action person and gets things done rather than somebody who does not. So be that person. Fast and friendly, prompt responses, and that builds trust over time, right? And we are all in a relationship business. So relationships are everything here. I'm going beyond the transaction. It is a very transactional industry if you want it to be, especially as people get more and more phone calls from call centers or people that want to do enrollments over the phone. Doesn't have to necessarily be a call center. Those relationships are very transactional. So be something different. You can very easily set up birthday cards to go out annually on their birthday or holiday cards. It's really a set it and forget it system. Happy to talk to you more about that if you'd like. We have a vendor, Levitate, that will be at our conference this year, that they have a system in place that gives you that plus more. Definitely join their breakout session if that interests you. Check in after a claim. Most people do call you when they have a claim. You may be telling them just to call the number on the back of the card, but how about in a few weeks you call them and ask how that went? I think that can go a long way. Or offer help during life changes. Listen, these small gestures, they create emotional loyalty, not just transactional loyalty. So people will feel connected to you. And at the end of the day, that's why all of you get in this business, right? Because you have that passion for helping other humans. And we can forget that sometimes when we get in the hustle and bustle of things. And I'm not calling anybody out. I do it myself with, quick replies and emails and maybe not taking a breath and taking a second to ask how somebody is or what's going on in their life. And it really does go a long way. I try to remind myself of that all the time. Okay, simplify annual reviews. There's so much technology out there for you now to make your life easier. Please, please, please use it. We have Medicare Now here that makes annual reviews go so much smoother. Your clients can have access to it. You have access to it. Admins have access to it now because we have agency hierarchy built into Medicare Now. So everybody can see what they need to see. If you're struggling with that at your agency, please let me know and we'll teach you how to use it properly so that you're being most efficient. But sending out retention letters the last 2 weeks of September is so important. The carriers are going to be sending out ANOCs, the annual notice of change letter, at the end of September. So just prep your clients for that. Make sure they know what's coming, what the importance of the letter is, what they should be looking for. If they're happy with their plan and the changes on that annual notice of change letter don't scare them and they're fine with it, tell them to let the plan just renew. Try to get ahead of it and create less work for yourself. Collecting the SOA and updated personal information prior to the annual enrollment period. That's so important. You can start doing that the 1st of September. You can really start doing that now because there's going to be so many terminations of plans. You can't let a person know about their plan until October 1st or any changes that are happening, but you can just let them know it's going to be a crazy year. And maybe that they're going to need an appointment. So set that ahead of time, get the SOA. Or use Retire Flow. We've had 2 webinars with Retire Flow already to go over the benefits of using that system and gathering all that information in a survey that feeds back to Medicare Now and pre-fills everything for you. Or use an admin. That is the first way that you as an independent agent can grow your agency, is to bring on an admin, especially maybe even just a temp. We have temp agencies we work with if you're looking to work with a company that can set you up with someone. Indeed is a great place to find somebody, but they can make outgoing calls for you, make changes in Medicare Now, set up your appointment, maybe even assist with a self-enrollment for a PDP. They can't do it because they're not licensed unless they are, but they can definitely assist the person with the technology aspect of a self-enrollment. And just remember that your time is money, so provide clear and simple decisions. Like I said, again, there's going to be a lot of terminations. People are going to have to maybe quote themselves in this type of situation, and just take advantage of what's out there for you. Proactive communication and education. So, this is consistent, personalized communication. This can be done really simply with social media, and that's the reason that we're going to have Shauna Thorson as our keynote speaker at our conference this year. She's going to teach everybody more about that and how to take advantage of it. But clients feel valued when they know what's going on with you as a person, and they really, really love, no brainer, when you use their name, reference past conversations, tailor outreach to their specific needs. So if you have a CRM, make sure you're making notes about, call logs or important things that they tell you, their spouse's name, their kid's name, their dog's name, so that you can reference it at calls next time that you speak with them. Education is empowerment. So help clients understand their options, not just sell them a plan. That goes back to, gone are the days where somebody only sells MedSup or only sells Medicare Advantage plans. You should be educating the client on both so that they just have a general understanding of what they're selecting. I think it's also important to say, if you were my mother, if you were my brother, if you were my best friend, this is what I would suggest. Because some people do like to hear your suggestion as the professional after the conversation is done. Yes, it is their choice, but sometimes when you leave too much up to them, they don't feel like they were well guided. When they feel informed, they feel in control, and they associate that with confidence with you. Correct. So educating and helping them make that choice. You are the professional. Hosting free webinars or Q&A sessions on Social Security, long-term care, or estate planning. We've found that agents that do that have great success with building new clients because you're educating them in more than just Medicare. And you're providing a value, you're showing your value, you're showing you care. All of those are intertwined with how Medicare will affect you long term. So those are great meetings to have besides just member meetings or sales meetings. Provide a seasonal newsletter with Medicare tips, lifestyle content, and community news. Okay, so additional lines of business. Obviously, we want you to focus on Medicare during the AEP, but outside of the AEP, you really have an opportunity to grow your book of business by adding additional lines. Here at URL, we do have group health insurance, penny ACA, life insurance, and annuities under our umbrella, and we're happy to teach you a new line of business at any time. Also think about ancillary plans for Medicare this year. With the removal of PDP commissions and some of these plans going non-commissionable, you have income that you need to make up. And this is a great way to do it with ancillary plans, like a hospital indemnity, especially since benefits are going to go back to like per day for inpatient hospital stay. This will reimburse the person that copay. So, and it's if they're still on a $0 PPO, they can afford to spend $35, $40 a month on a hospital indemnity plan, just for that added protection. I just have some quotes here that I think they resonated with me, so I'll share them with you. Customers with loyal products or lines of business, multiple products or lines of business, are significantly more loyal. Retention rates increase by up to 95%, when clients hold more than one product with a company. A 5% increase in customer loyalty increases profits 25 to 95%. That's incredible. 65% of a company's revenue typically comes from a repeat customer. So if you do a great job with a customer, they come back to you when they need something else. And again, that is a lot cheaper than getting a new client, right? And this aligns with the well-known principle in insurance and financial services. The more products a client has with you, the less likely they are to leave. It's not just about convenience, it's about deepening the relationship and increasing the perceived value that you provide. Honesty, integrity, and loyalty. These are words that mean the most to individuals when they pick like a financial advisor or an agent. Transparency and honesty is so important. That's something I always try to strive for here at URL. I know a lot of you do as well in my conversations with you one-on-one. So I know this is hitting home and the majority of you are doing it, but just be upfront about your limitations, especially this year if you choose that you're not going to be reviewing PDPs anymore because you have to focus your priorities on all this medical coverage that is being disruptive. That's okay. And I think people will appreciate your transparency and your honesty more than anything else. I really feel that there's no right or wrong answer with how you decide that you're going to be handling PDPs this year. Humana did come out and say they have at least one plan that they're going to be commissionable on. This AEP, Highmark with their Blue RX plan is going to pay commissions as well. We know that's a high premium plan, but we have had confirmation on those two thus far. But I can see both sides of the coin, right? I hear from a lot of you in our event sessions together. You're telling me, you don't work for free, so you're not going to be doing the PDPs. I get that. You have to prioritize. There's only so much time in a day and only so many people you can help. But some of you want to help your clients regardless because you're here, maybe not for the money, but because you need that satisfaction and you want to lead them, to the water and make sure that it's done correctly. That's okay too. I totally understand that. You have to make the best decision for you at the end of the day. And that's completely fine. And there's people you're going to help or people you're not. That's fine too. You have to make those choices again. And we're here to support you. Clients respect honesty, especially when paired with helpful alternatives, which we're going to hopefully provide for you today, helpful alternatives. And informed clients are loyal clients. If they understand their plan and feel confident in your guidance, they're less likely to switch. And this is why it's so important to just get out ahead of this now while you can. Okay, we're going to go over some AEP foreshadowing. But it looks like I have a question from Chris. Would it be compliant to say in pre-AEP newsletter, we expect some copays on MAPD to increase across all plans? Ask us about hospital indemnity plans to cover these increases. Yes, because you're not talking about a specific plan or benefits. You're just saying this could happen and this would be a good alternative or something that you should purchase. Great idea. Okay, so foreshadowing. I was just at some carrier rollout meetings that they meet with the FMOs before they go out into the agents and do them widespread all over. I highly encourage you to go out to these carrier rollout meetings if they're local for you and it's a carrier that you sell or have a big book with them. I know that we have our conference, and I have a slide on that later coming up on September 3rd, but the carriers really only have 30 minutes to give you a snapshot of what's going to be happening. And I think it's important to hear like their whole couple hour spiel and let them treat you to lunch and do all of that. There's value in it and getting those relationships with your broker managers because they're really there to help you. So I encourage that. All the benefits are still CMS pending. CMS still has some benchmarks that they'll come out with, like everybody has to have a copay of $130 for ER or something like that. So those benchmarks have not been released yet, so the plans can still change. Carriers have already filed for commissions and non-commissionable plans. So I have heard that everybody is paying commissions for MAPDs besides those specific plans that they are terminating at the end of the year, and that's why they went non-commissionable prior. And we can talk about certain plans or anything one-on-one if you have those questions. Plans will be terminating. I have not met with a carrier yet that said they don't have a plan that's not terminating. Everybody has very, very crazy things happening. There's grids involved, certain counties, relaunches of plans, but when a plan is relaunched, the old one is still terminated, right? That means the person has to re-enroll to the new plan that's relaunched. So they still get that SEP or GI right into a Medicare supplement plan. So I think that's important to remember that goes past December 7th when the AEP ends. If they're going on to a Med Sup or even an MAPD, that SEP goes until, 63 days past the end of the year. So we're talking the end of February that you have to write these people. So if you know that they're terming plans, when you're making appointments, know that you can extend it out past the 7th. That will help you prioritize people. And the GI trial right, remember that if they have A or B before the year 2020, their GI is F. They have to go into a plan F. If it's after 2020, they go into a plan G. Now, a few plans, Highmark, CBC, and United Healthcare, they let you go into a plan N and some other plan letters. This is only for people after 2020. So keep that in mind as well when you're shopping. If you have people terminating, that you don't have to put them on an MAPD. All right, and plans will keep assisting with phone enrollment and keeping AORs. So we have heard through the masses of the carriers that they plan to really bump up their call centers internally. Highmark, for example, they usually have 20 people on staff. They've bumped it up to 120 to assist with keeping you as the agent of record this year and just getting people into the relaunched plans. So take advantage of that. I know it's really hard. I'm a type A personality, so I get it. I want to touch everything. I want to make sure everything's done correctly. And, if you don't do something right, you didn't do it yourself type of thing. I get it. But for these simple situations, and they're going to be there to support you, please take advantage of it. You can always go back after the AEP is over and check your list of clients and make sure you see it in the book of business. And if you don't, they'll get it corrected for you. Don't have any concern about that. Okay, so what we all wanted to talk about, right? The future of PDPs. So I'm not sure if you saw, but the fair market value for PDPs went up dramatically. Like it almost doubled in the commission that they wanted the carriers to pay. And when the carriers already aren't paying commissions, that's not very much of an encouragement to pay because they're going to have to pay you double. So I do believe that a lot of the carriers are going to switch to non-commissionable. Something that I see like foreshadowing is in 2 years from now, when these carriers right their ship, as it was said last year, with these benefits and they start being more profitable again, that they might return to pay commissions. Think about back when the ACA or Penny wasn't paying for a good 2 or 3 years, and then they came back to the market. So just a warning of that could happen. So make sure, not that you would mistreat your clients, but make sure that you are providing some sort of guidance for your clients, teaching them how to self-enroll, doing member meetings. You can do it online. Send an email out to all your clients and say, I'm going to host just showing you how to quote and enroll yourself for a PDP, what to look for, so that they can do it themselves. Just be, again, that resource, that place that they can go with questions. There's been a lot of financial strain on the Medicare carriers. The troop is going up a whole $100, so the client is responsible for that $2,100. As we saw last year, that is not a true $2,100. Sometimes it's $600. It really, the math doesn't math. There's a whole nother video on how to figure that out that I can send everybody. But really, Medicare now will show you when the person has hit their troop and they won't have to pay anymore. A lot of the responsibility is going back to those Medicare carriers. If the person has an outlandish copay on a drug, remember that we have GlickRx. That was really big a few years ago. Every time somebody fills a prescription, you get $1. I know it's not a lot of money, but it's something. You get your name and code printed on a bunch of cards and you can just hand them out. It's a super easy process. It's just like GoodRx. So they can always compare. They can give the pharmacy both cards and see which way is cheaper for them to go. And then also the Canadian drugstore, if they have something super expensive, they'll also be at our conference. So you have questions about that, you can ask them there. Drug tiers will be changing. You're going to be seeing a lot more responsibility on the clients as they can, because like I said, the carriers are responsible for so much. So you're going to see deductibles on all plans. I know some didn't have them last year. You are going to see copays on tier 1 and 2, and you're going to see those apply to the deductible where they didn't before. In some good news, we have changes to Medicare now. So Connecture made some great upgrades. I sent out an email, I want to say last week, about using the quote button to send the profile to the client instead of having them start from scratch with your Pearl, if you saw that. And I was going to show it here today, but they actually created a whole new feature. It's not available just yet. You're going to see it for 2026 benefits. But right on the client profile page, there's going to be a button that says personal URL. So that's actually sending the client their profile so they can go in, see all the information you already had in there, and make the changes that they need to do before they self-enroll, which is fantastic. So they don't have to start from scratch with you sending the Pearl, putting in, creating an account, doing it all over again, which is really nice. Also, consumers can see all the plans, including non-commissionable. You as the agent do not. So if you're quoting a client, you can push the button that says add on non-licensed plans, and you can see the plans that are non-commissionable to do a fair, evaluation for your client. But then you cannot enroll them, right? Because it's a non-commissionable plan, or you're not contracted or certified to sell it. If you send them the personal link, they can see everything that you're contracted and certified to sell. So like WellCare, for example, you may not be contracted and certified because you don't sell their MAPD plans. I would urge you to become contracted and certified so that the PDPs do show. If you were thinking about not doing UHC, but you want UHC non-commissionable PDPs to show, I would urge you to do that certification so it shows. Everything you're contracted and certified to show will show on the consumer quote side, and they can enroll right from Medicare now. So it's really seamless, easy process. So if they enroll into something that you can get commission on, you'll still get it. But if they enroll in something you don't, you won't. I think that is the best way to handle the situations, unless you're actually going to do appointments. On the 2026 page, they are also going to add a place you can put the current plan information so the consumer can actually look at the benefits side by side and do their own comparisons, which I think is going to be fantastic. There's going to be a new consumer account overview. It's going to alert them if they did a partial enrollment. They're going to have access to their scope of appointment, quotes, any changing data, enrollments, their page has completely changed and it looks awesome. There's going to be some examples that we can show you later. Plus, at our conference, will the 220? Nope, the 2026 won't be up and running yet because it's before October 1st. But you'll see all those changes October 1st, and you can send yourself a quote and check it out. It's awesome. And everybody's been asking for it. We can finally archive profiles. So if you have a person in there 3 times and you were sick of not knowing which one to go into and click, you can go onto the client profile page where it has their name and address now. And on the top right, hit archive profile. And that's available now. I just saw it this morning. So that's a great tool. Okay, I have a question from Kristen to clarify. We can enter their info, add all of their preferences for them, and then just send them the link that will pop all that up for them to just go ahead and enroll. That is 100% correct, which is fantastic. Stephanie says, yay, I know, right? I'm so happy. Okay, so handouts. I just wanted you to take a look at those. Myself and Kelly Lucas, who manages our inside sales team or our Orion team for your referrals, work together to create 2 different letter templates that you can send out to your clients. These are just suggestions. We got a lot of requests to create one, so we went ahead and do that. One is more, honest and trustworthy and forefront about what's happening, and the other one is kind of just like under the cuff, this is what's happening. To your preference, whatever you feel most comfortable relaying to your clients, how transparent you want to be. But those are there if you want to use them. And I found a ton of guides that you can provide. So if you're an emailer and you can attach big things, I would suggest doing all of the attachments. Please download them. So your guide to Medicare prescription drug coverage, that's a CMS booklet, fantastic to give the consumer. Comparing drug plans, it just teaches you what you're looking at. Part B versus Part D drugs, which I feel like yourself as the agent ask us a lot. Clients don't really understand the difference. There's a guide in there for you. Troubleshooting Part D denials, which we have a lot of, questions about. How to complete a Part D enrollment flyer. Again, this is something that we created in-house for you to use. We left space for you to add your logo and your agent information in there. So I hope that you find that valuable. But we just try to put together some things to help you out this time of year. And then if you didn't know, we do have our conference at the Hershey Lodge coming up September 3rd. It's going to be all day, 8 to 4:30. We have all our carriers coming. We have a ton of breakout sessions happening for marketing. It's really the biggest, best conference I think that we've ever put on. Everybody's been hands on deck here at URL putting this together. We have vendors from all lines of business, plus marketing, IT, data, all of it. So it is going to be a great day, and we really look forward to catching up with all of you. I think something that's really important to say is that, we understand this is going to be a rough time of year. We're here to support you. Remember to diversify your options. Remember to make some tough decisions, and preparation is the big key here. All right, I'm going to go to some questions Cassie asked just to make sure I understand. With the client's personal URL in Medicare Now, a client can enroll themselves in a plan we don't get commissions for. That's correct, Cassie. They just add to cart and they can do it. Stephanie, to confirm, we can be proactive with updating their meds in September, and that will all carry into the new version of Medicare Now in October. That is 100% correct, Stephanie. You can do that now. Scott, under the handouts list, it looks like the webinar for URL PDF link to download or view isn't correct. Okay, well, I'll take a look at that, Scott. And when we send out like the thank you for coming, here's the recorded version of the webinar, we'll have all the handouts in there for you. So if anything's missing, I do apologize. Technology is great when it works, not fun when it doesn't, as you all know. Okay. Any handouts for MAPD changes, Neil? No. We're not allowed to. I probably shared more today on the webinar than I'm even allowed to share with you as agents till the carriers start doing their rollout meetings, which I believe start next week. So, like I said, I very highly encourage all of you to go to those. They're much longer than what you're going to get in our conference and much more informational. Thank you for the great info. You're welcome, EB. Look forward to seeing you at the conference. Dan says, can you expand on the benefit of archiving a profile? Will this give us the ability to get rid of duplicate profiles? That's exactly right, Dan. And once you archive a profile, you can unarchive it. It will still be there in the back end for you. So don't feel like once it's gone, it's gone. And there'll be more coming out on that. We'll send out an email with screenshots and such for you. Connecture actually just sent it to me yesterday, so it was perfect timing. I threw that slide in there last minute, like literally 15 minutes before I started the webinar today. So if we do take the certs for non-commissionable PDPs, are we still connected to them as the BUR for that policy? No. Some carriers do for some reason, like WellCare. I have seen under our book of business, we can still see if you're selling WellCare for some reason. I don't know what that's going to mean for the future. But no, because you're not contracted and certified to sell the PDP specifically, you can't service the client. So like if you would call WellCare and try to get questions answered for your client, as the agent of record, they're not going to assist you. The member's going to have to call in themselves. Very much appreciate it. You're welcome, Brooke. Let me just make sure I have nothing else out here unanswered. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I hope you found all this information valuable. And, I'll see you on September 3rd. Have a good rest of your day. Happy Friday.